nemesis.
Or whatever.
Well, Nibiru is the third planet up.
That's the one where the Anunnaki apparently came
That's
from.
right.
Okay.
So I'm just going to do what I do and share one of my X-Files. This one's interesting. Again, it's about the Planet-X. The other day I was in a session and working one-on-one with one of my clients and my friends. She has quite a big documentary on here if you want to go back and look. And, I'm working on these artifacts for something that was at the Stonehenge in New Hampshire, and comparing it to the esoteric symbols from those artifacts to the symbols on my client's artifacts. And, so I'm in session after session and on phone call after phone call with them. And so I go and I to take a break and to get a cup of coffee. Well, all of a sudden I get what I call the frequency. Basically, it feels like my skull is getting crushed. I can feel vibrations, feel a frequency sensation, and my ears ring, sometimes one, sometimes both. It's pretty bad. So when this happens, I know I need to sit down and document whatever the heavens up there are trying to relay. I record the message, and that becomes an X-File, and then that just carries on into a whole journey, an entire expedition of things that I start discovering, and usually has links with other cases. So this will be interesting. I'm not here to convince anyone. I don't care about opinions, and I'm just doing my job. 7 days a week I do this. I only share a very small fraction of it. I have thousands and thousands of X-Files on this channel, but they are set to private. I think I only have about roughly between 75 and 80 that are released now. So this X-File, everything that happened has kind of just been a chain of events as usual. They started talking about a Planet-X in orbit. Prior to that, they were talking about a meteor, and then before that they were talking about an asteroid being in orbit. Then all of this other stuff came up. I will show you what I discovered after you see what happened in the X-File, which is the session itself. It's really interesting, the information I found that actually hit the New York Times, and another contactee, extraterrestrial contactee. So here's what the heavens had to tell me. They also brought up the Mayan Bible. I will show you the connections, correspondences, and the links I discovered in the last couple of days in regards to these messages. Alright, I'm in the middle of analyzing Debbie's session. I just finished the first session. I went to get something to drink, some coffee, and I heard a warning frequency. It really hurts my head, so I'm just going to stop and just record whatever that is real quick. Go ahead, angels. so loud. My stomach's growling. Okay, so I went to Google and I typed in Planet-X, the Mayan Bible. This is what came up. The Nibiru cataclysm is a supposed disastrous encounter between Earth and a large planetary object, either a collision or a near miss, that certain groups believed would take place in the early 21st century. Believers in this doomsday event usually refer to this object as Nibiru or Planet X. The idea was first put forward in 1995 by Nancy Later. I hope I'm saying her name correctly. Founder of the website Zeta Talk. Later claims she is a contactee with the ability to receive messages from extraterrestrials from the Zeta Reticuli star system through an implant in her brain. Wow, that's interesting, right? She states that she was chosen to warn mankind that the object would sweep through the inner solar system in May 2003, though that date was later postponed, causing Earth to undergo a physical pole shift that would destroy most of humanity. Well, if you look back through all my EVPs, that's basically all of the messages that I've been receiving. But this gets more interesting. I'll continue to read. The prediction has subsequently spread beyond Later's website and has been embraced by numerous internet doomsday groups. In the late 2000s, it became closely associated with the 2012 phenomenon. Since 2012, the Nibiru cataclysm has frequently reappeared in the popular media, usually linked to newsmaking astronomical objects such as Comet ISON or Planet 9. Remember, y'all, they have spoken to me about the 8th planet, the Sumerian tablets, Mercury, the Anunnaki, and many more. But you can go back and see that through all of the little documentaries and X-Files that I have released. I'll continue now. Although the name Nibiru is derived from the works of the ancient astronaut writer Zecharia Sitchin and his interpretations of Babylonian and Sumerian mythology, he denied any connection between his work and various claims of a coming apocalypse. I want y'all to take note of how many times the word apocalypse, the end of the world, and other things were mentioned in the messages I've been receiving the last few years. Remember, I put everything in my books, E.T. Frequency and E.T. Frequency 2 X-Files. You can see it on my website, paranormalprofessional.com. They are sold globally, and it is every EVP and X-File regarding this topic, all compiled into one going back to 2017. Now I will continue. A prediction by self-described Christian numerologist David Meade that the Nibiru cataclysm would occur on September 23, 2017, received extensive media coverage. That's interesting. That's when I was seeing a lot of shooting fireballs come out of the sky, which I talk about in some of my X-Files on here, especially the ones that are more alien X-Files, and in my books. Just so y'all know, I was not aware of any of this information, so I'm going to keep reading. The idea that a planet-sized object will collide with or closely pass by Earth in the near future is not supported by any scientific evidence and has been rejected by astronomers and planetary scientists as pseudoscience and an internet hoax. This is interesting. I guess I'm the very first person who has ever documented otherworldly entities speaking of this planet. I wonder if that would be considered some kind of scientific evidence. Such an object would have destabilized the orbits of the planets to the extent that their efforts would be easily observable today. I'm going to pause. I found footage that y'all might want to have a look at after I finish reading that kind of goes against this pseudoscience and internet hoax theory. I'll continue now. Astronomers have hypothesized many planets beyond Neptune, and though many have been disproved, there are some that remain viable candidates, such as Planet 9. All the current candidates are in orbits that keep them well beyond Neptune throughout their orbit, even when they are closest to the Sun. Now I'm going to move down into the history of Nancy Later and Zeta Talk. This is important because there are links, things that are said in this. I have EVPs speaking of such subjects, topics, and actual statements. Okay, it says here the idea of the Nibiru encounter originated with Nancy Later, a Wisconsin woman who claims that as a girl she was contacted by gray extraterrestrials called Zedans, who implanted a communications device in her brain. In 1995, she founded the website Zeta Talk to disseminate her ideas. By the way, y'all, I do talk about my contact and even abduction situations in both of my E.T. Frequency books. I'm going to continue now. Later first came to public attention on internet news groups during the build-up to Comet Hale-Bopp's 1997 perihelion. She stated, claiming to speak as the Zedans, that the Hale-Bopp story was manufactured to distract people from the imminent arrival of a large planetary object, Planet-X, which would soon pass by Earth and destroy civilization. After Hale-Bopp revealed it as one of the brightest and longest observed comets of the last century, later removed the first two sentences of her initial statement from her site, though they can still be found in Google's archives. Her claims eventually made New York Times. Later described Planet X as roughly 4 times the size of Earth, and said that its closest approach would occur on May 27th, 2003, resulting in Earth's rotation ceasing for exactly 5.9 terrestrial days. This would be followed by Earth's pole destabilizing in a pole shift caused by magnetic attraction between Earth's core and the magnetism of the passing planet. This in turn would disrupt Earth's magnetic core and lead to the subsequent displacement of Earth's crust. After the 2003 date passed without incident, later said that it was merely a white lie to fool the establishment. She refused to disclose the true date, saying that to do so would give those in power enough time to declare martial law and trap people in cities during the shift, leading to their deaths. Very interesting. Now, Zachariah Stitchin and Sumar. It says here, although later originally referred to the object as Planet X, it has become deeply associated with Nibiru, a planet from the works of ancient astronaut proponent Zachariah Stitchin, particularly his book, The 12th Planet. I'm going to stop for a minute. Y'all will go back and see in these X-Files that I was led to the 12th planet and this book. I think it was back in 2021. So go watch that if you can. According to Stitchin's interpretation of ancient Mesopotamian religious texts, which has been shown to be based on a faulty understanding of Sumerian text, a giant planet called Nibiru, or Marduk, passes by Earth every 3,600 years, allowing its sentient inhabitants to interact with humanity. Stitchin identified these beings with the Anunnaki in Sumerian mythology and claimed that they were humanity's first gods. Nancy later first made the connection between Nibiru and her Planet X on her site in 1996. The planet, it was quoted, "The Planet X does exist and it is the 12th planet, one and the same." Now I'm going to stop for a minute. You remember when back in 2021 and 2022 they were telling me about the 8th planet? I asked them what that was. These beings that I speak to, they said they could not reveal this at the time. That's when they led me to the 12th planet and that book and the Sumerian tablets. They also kept talking about the Anunnaki returning, and back in November of 2022, right around November 26th and 27th, I had a frequency hit and they told me the Anunnaki were coming and I could see a big ball of fire in the sky. So go back and watch the 3-part Anunnaki EVP X-Files that I have on this channel for more information on that. This all seems to kind of be linking up. I don't know what I believe anymore. I'm just relaying the information, the education, what I've learned, and the EVP X-Files. My communication documented between extraterrestrials and other beings of light. One more thing I'd like to note here. Stitchin, who died in 2010, denied any connection between his work and Later's claims. In 2007, partly in response to Later's proclamations, Stitchin published a book, The End of Days, which set the time for the last passing of Nibiru by Earth at 556 BC, which would mean, given the object's supposed 3,600-year orbit, that it would return sometime around AD 2900. He did say that he believed that the Anunnaki might return earlier by spaceship, and that the timing of their return would coincide with the shift from the astrological age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius sometime between 2090 and 2370. but I am receiving messages literally in the past 2 years about the Anunnaki literally returning and arriving. The X-Files are on this channel. When it comes to the Mayan calendar, it says, though later herself has not specified a new date for the object's return, many groups have taken up her idea and cited their own dates. One frequently cited date was December 21st, 2012. This date had many apocalyptic associations, as it was the end of cycle in the long count in the Mayan calendar. Several writers published books connecting the encounter with 2012, yada, yada, yada. You heard what the EVP said. There's something in orbit. This also goes back to 2017 arrival. A conspiracy theorist and self-proclaimed Christian numerologist named David Meade revived the Nibiru cataclysm by trying it to various passages from the Bible. You can find all of this on Google, called Nibiru Cataclysm. I'm going to go ahead and show some things from George Norrie and some more about this Planet X.
Was in early 90s, a gentleman by the name of Robert Harrington. He was an astronomer for the U.S. Naval Observatory in Washington. He was the chief astronomer. He wrote a brilliant paper on the location of Planet X. All right. Not only did he do that, he backed it up by having a telescope specially constructed, sent to an observatory owned by our government in New Zealand. Because at that time it was in the southern skies.
Just to look for this planet.
Yes. And what happened was all of the image plates that came off that telescope were sent to NASA, disappeared. Never seen again.
Well, that's interesting.
And shortly after that, he died a very mysterious death. And many of us in the field, including his wife, feel that he was assassinated. And what caused that, I believe, was that he gave Zecharia Sitchin an interview on a television documentary. And he has a picture of him pointing, this is the orbit of Planet X.
And did it echo what you've been working on and what Sitchin had been working on? So this is an elliptical orbit.
Yes. It's a long period elliptical orbit. It's inclined to, here's the plane of our solar system, all right, and it's inclined. And it goes up and down in 3,600 lunar. That's right. It doesn't go around like we do. So it comes up and down like a comet.
Okay.
It's a comet-like orbit, and it's very long. 3,600 lunar years, or 3,548 solar years.
Still close.
Well, close enough that when you backtrack it from December 21, 2012, it lands you right on the Exodus, which was the last flyby.
Okay, so the last flyby would be what year?
That is going back to, that's in the article. Sometimes the numbers, it's on the site. Just please check it out.
When will this planet come back?
It's here.
It's already in the area.
Oh yes, right now it's in conjunction. It is behind the sun. It's coming up. It came up in the direction towards the sun's, say, 7:30 position.
Okay.
Now, when it comes out from behind, it'll be around the 1:30 position. And
will we be able to see it then?
Yeah. And when we see it, if you're not prepared, frankly, when we do see it, people are going to be standing out in the street. They're going to be pointing up at the sky.
You'll be able to see it like that?
Oh, yeah. You're going to see it. It's a melancholia scenario.
Jeez.
It's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger, because this thing is going to come around from behind the sun and cross over our orbit above us and ahead of us. And, there's a gentleman, Bob Dean, government whistleblower. He's one of my heroes. I just love this guy.
Yeah, good guy.
And I think in 2008 on Project Camelot, he made a prediction. He said, according to my sources, when we are going to be on the same side of the sun as the Planet X system when it goes into its aphelion leg. That's when it's going back south.
Okay.
And that is when it's really going to be jamming, you know.
And jamming meaning doing
Fast.
things to us?
To the sun, to us. First off, let me just explain the Planet-X system.
Okay.
Nemesis is the dark star, all right? And it hasn't been visible for a very long time to the naked eye because it's shrouded in iron oxide dust.
Okay.
This is from its creation.
And where would that be now, that binary star?
That binary star is beyond the orbit of Jupiter, behind our sun.
And that's why we can't see it.
We can't see it. Now, interestingly enough, there are 3 planets that we talk about in our book. There could be more, but we're only talking about the major bodies that are going to present a problem for Earth.
All right.
And be involved in the pole shift event.
Okay.
Now, these planets are, the innermost one is Helion. And Helion is a gaseous, bright planet. It's uninhabited.
This is traveling with
Nemesis,
Nibiru or whatever.
Well, Nibiru is the 3rd planet out.
That's the one where the Anunnaki apparently came
That's
from.
right.
Okay.
There's Nemesis, the star,
Right.
Helion, Arbota, Nibiru. Helion has a moon, which we named Harrington in name of this astronomer.
Okay.
And we have a moon for Nibiru, which we named Farada.
They only have like 1 moon each?
That's right. These
Okay.
2 planets, Arbota does not have a moon. Arbota is inhabited by a slave species. What happened was in Earth,
When will this planet come back?
it's here.
It's already in the area.
Oh yes, right now it's in
Okay.
conjunction. It is behind the sun. It's coming up. It came up in the direction towards the sun's, say, 7:30 position.
Okay.
Now, when it comes out from behind, it'll be around the 1:30 position. And
Will we be able to see it then?
Yeah. And when we see it, if you're not prepared, I mean, frankly, when we do see it, people are going to be standing out in the street. They're going to be pointing up at the sky.
You'll be able to see it like that?
Oh yeah, you're going to see it. It's a melancholia scenario.
Jeez.
It's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger because this thing is going to come around from behind the sun and cross over our orbit above us and ahead of us. And you know, there's a gentleman, Bob Dean, government whistleblower. He's one of my heroes. I mean, I just love this guy.
Yeah, good guy.
And I think in 2008 on Project Camelot, he made a prediction. He said, according to my sources, it is going to, when we are going to be on the same side of the sun as the Planet-X system when it goes into its aphelion leg. That's when it's going back south.
Okay.
And that is when it's really going to be jamming, you know.
And jamming meaning doing
Fast.
things to us?
To the sun, to us. First off, let me just explain the Planet-X system.
Okay.
Nemesis is the dark star, all right? And it hasn't been visible for a very long time to the naked eye because it's shrouded in iron oxide dust.
Okay.
This is from its creation.
And where would that be now, that binary star?
That binary star is beyond the orbit of Jupiter, behind our sun.
And that's why we can't see it.
We can't see it. First off, let me just explain the Planet-X system.
Okay.
Yes. It's a long period elliptical orbit. It's inclined to, here's the plane of our solar system, all right? And it's inclined. And it goes up and down in 3,600
to
lunar.
around.
That's right. It doesn't go around like we do. So it comes up and down like a comet.
Okay.
It's a comet-like orbit, and it's very long. What happened was in early 90s, a gentleman by the name of Robert Harrington. He was an astronomer for the U.S. Naval Observatory in Washington. He was the chief astronomer. He wrote a brilliant paper on the location of Planet X. All right. Not only did he do that, he backed it up by having a telescope specially constructed sent to an observatory owned by our government in New Zealand. Because at that time it was in the southern
Just
skies.
to look for this planet.
Yes. And what happened was all of the image plates that came off that telescope were sent to NASA, disappeared. Never seen again.
Well, that's interesting.
And shortly after that, he died a very mysterious
we have a huge black sphere being enveloped by the solar rays of the sun itself, larger than Jupiter, probably larger than all the planets combined. This is massive in size, and I'm just wondering, is NASA going to come forward and give us any answers? This image was just taken yesterday, so maybe they're going to have some reports for us a little bit down the road, but we're looking at it first, right here on Third Phase of the Moon. And again, what is this all about? Is there any kind of implications? Is this an unknown planet that is about to impact the sun? Or is this some kind of possible just lens anomaly? Brent, what's your thoughts here?
Yeah, great report. We got this earlier this morning, and we found out that this was just captured yesterday, and we're sharing it to you right now, the world. I'm seeing this black mass, and yeah, you're right, Blake, this thing's massive. And you can notice that it doesn't seem like an anomaly.
Words of the blessing of Enoch.
Wherewith he blessed the elect, the elect, the elect.
I just want to cut in right here. In this next story, it was under the Planet-X category of videos on social media. One of the things in the story is a reference of the elect. I have been taught and told by celestial beings that the elect are prophets and chosen ones, that they are to await God's commandments. And when I have permission from my client, I will share those EVPs entirely.
And righteous who will be living in the day of tribulation, when all the wicked and godless are to be removed. And he took up his parable and said, Enoch, a righteous man, whose eyes were opened by God, saw the vision of the Holy One in the heavens, which the angels showed me. And from them I heard everything. And from them I understood as I saw, but not for this generation, but for a remote one, which is for to come. Concerning the elect I said, and took up my parable concerning them, the Holy Great One will come forth from his dwelling, and the eternal God will tread upon the earth, even on Mount Sinai, and appear from his camp, and appear in the strength of his might from the heaven of heavens, and all shall be smitten with fear, and the watchers shall quake, and great fear and trembling shall seize them unto the ends of the earth, and the high mountains shall be shaken, and the high hills shall be made low, and all shall melt like wax before the flame, and the earth shall be wholly rent in sunder, and all that is upon the earth shall perish, and there shall be a judgment upon all men. But with the righteous he will make peace, and will protect the elect, and mercy shall be upon them, and they shall all belong to God, and they shall all be prospered, and they shall all be blessed, and he will help them all, and light shall appear unto them, and he will make peace with them. And behold, he cometh with 10,000s of his holy ones to execute judgment upon all, and to destroy all the ungodly, and to convict all flesh of all the works of their ungodliness which they have ungodly committed, and of all the hard things.
We're laying on the ride in my car, feeling young, feeling numb, feeling scarred. All the things that a moment can be. This one's best kept memory. The purest parts of my heart are you.
What's up?
Is it
Love when you grin.
shit, I don't know.
Corners of your lips lift.
What was that?
Remnants of a satellite?
Yeah, it could be. It happened a few months ago.
Yeah, it is. You saw that go now?
Yeah. Oh,
Move it! Hey, no, this is Puljadi, bro. Like, this is Puljadi. It went off and came back on.
Yeah, it went off and came back on.
One more went off. And it came back on. There are quite a few planes in the sky. Huh?
Nibiru is also called the Destroyer in the Colbrin, which is an ancient gospel found in Scotland that was omitted from biblical text, much like the Dead Sea Scrolls were. It reads, "Men forgot the days of the Destroyer. Only the wise know where it went, and that it shall return at the appointed time. The Destroyer, its color, bright and fierce and ever-changing, was an unstable appearance, a fierce body of flames. Though stating Nibiru usually passes without causing harm, the tablets describe one cataclysmic event which occurred when Nibiru neared Earth. It says, first, black spots appeared on the sun's surface. The Earth's magnetic field became weaker. The temperature rose and ice caps began melting. This event we call the deluge, or the Great Flood. It also reads, for days before the day of the deluge, the earth was rumbling, groaning, as if with pain.
If you can hear this, hopefully you can. I hear this from time to time, but never see a plane. It's just not that this is the best view of the sky, but you can trust me, I've heard it enough times. Yesterday morning about 9:20, 9 a.m. today.
A planet 5 times the size of Earth.
That Planet X would be coming. Well, all we can tell you is that we have been waiting for 3,600 years for its return. A planet which is 5 times the size of Earth, that moves in a retrograde orbit. This isn't going to be the type of planet that travels at a rapid pace across our solar system. Then again, if the planet were visible to the naked eye, would you then believe? We will tell you this, that the world is beginning to see a period of great tribulation, and the arrival of Planet X may come much sooner than any of us would have imagined. Now, we are not trying to be fear-mongers or alarmists. There are already too many of them out there. We are just trying to present common sense evidence to the public. So here are some of the things we know for sure. Earth changes are increasing dramatically worldwide. In fact, since 2012, earthquake and volcanic activity has risen on a phenomenal level. Volcanoes are approaching 40 eruptions per day. That's right. Hard to believe, but true. Earthquakes in the Ring of Fire are more frequent and are occurring in unusual areas where people are not accustomed to them. So, first off, let's examine the details of the unprecedented earthquakes happening in 2016. The earthquake activity along the Pacific Ring of Fire has been nothing short of unprecedented. From coast to coast, there have been a surge of activity that earthquake researchers are taking note of at this time. On February the 16th of 2016, a report from stuff.co.nz reported a 6.0 magnitude earthquake, which was felt as far south as Dunedin. Now, coincidentally, this earthquake was shown as a magnitude 5.9 on the EM